Sitting down with our next set of national champs. Rainbow Six obviously gets first because a three-peat is obviously something special, but winning the first title in a video game is also something incredibly special for his program's history. Mario Kart champ Jesse Wardle taking some time to talk with us, as well as his head coach, John Kershaw. And first of all, Jesse, congratulations. Same question I started off with the Rainbow Six crew on. A couple days now, chance for it to kind of settle in, and how does it feel now that you've had a chance to really look back and kind of breathe in what you've been able to accomplish?
Pretty unbelievable for my first season ever to win a nationals. But yet again, I was multi-national champ in high school, so I would expect me to make it pretty far in the college.
That was something I was going to ask you about. And when you talk about winning a national title in high school, there's a bigger field in that regard, but the quality is going to be hit or miss at times when it comes to who's in that field. Does this feel a little bit more special knowing that there's a college feel to it and there's kind of a bit more structure, not necessarily structure, but a bit more kind of narrowing down of who's in that college field for these games?
Yeah, I feel a lot better doing this one, for sure.
Now, you end up going into it as the 3 seed, and I think that's the tough thing about the Mario Kart seeding way it was, with 2 different sides, those kind of crossovers. It didn't feel like you were the 3 seed going into it. Did you ever even think about that number beside your name, or was it just next opponent and I know I should be number 1?
Didn't care what seed I was, honestly. It didn't matter in the end without losing a single game for the nationals. I mean, the bracket setup was a little bit easier on my end with the lower seeds, but even then, I still smashed the higher seeds when it came to winter finals and national champions.
Well, talk about that too, because the way day 1 went for this was incredible to me, because it almost went the backwards way of the way you would have expected it when it was. You come out, and I kind of talked about the Rainbow Six too, that opening round match, whenever you're going against that low seed, there's nothing to lose for them. So sometimes that can be the team that is ready for that upset. What went through your head when you end up finding yourself down 3-2 and you have your back against the wall, needing to win those final 2 maps in that opening round against Iowa Western?
I knew he was trying to upset me, try to get into my head, but I knew that eventually I would pass him because, I mean, I've played against him 2 other times, and I know that his skill is not as up to mine. He was just getting some good items at the right time, but eventually your luck runs out in a game like that. So when push comes to shove, skill overall determines the winner.
Well, and then talk about a confidence boost. You go into the next round, and you end up sweeping the guy. And it wasn't even a close sweep. I mean, it was dominant through the entirety of it for you to run through into that national semifinal match. How much confidence did you really gain from that to kind of be able to shake off the previous one and go into an opponent you hadn't faced before?
After 4-0ing that, it was very unexpected, especially since it was seed 2 out of all seeds, and it was the East Regional champion. I couldn't fathom how easy it was. And when I went to go to the next one, I saw that the guy that always beats me is gone too. And once he's out of the way, I'm like, there's no way I could lose at all. Like, losing to UCNJ, I don't see how I could if they lost to the C2 guy.
Well, then you go into UCNJ, and Coach, you had some time in between, and I know Jesse was grinding it out, but what was your kind of role in that during the break in between that? Did you have any type of role, or just, when you talk about kids motivating themselves, is Jesse another one of those that you kind of can let go off on his own?
Jesse does his thing. Like, Jesse is the consummate professional Mario Kart racer. He is always practicing, always grinding. He knows the maps weeks in advance as much as he can. He is always practicing. Generally, it's just a mental thing of making sure he's okay, and it's always like, yep, like, let's get it. So there's, otherwise it'd be there for Jesse. Sometimes just, motivating him, like, you got this, man, don't worry about it. But
Talk a little bit about that too, because going into that Friday match, it was just the one match. You didn't have the multiples that you're kind of getting ready for. Is there a difference when you're prepping for one race in a day instead of prepping for multiple races?
There's a huge difference. Like, let's for an example, in Central Regional, where I was in the losers bracket, I would have to practice 36 maps, where compared to Jiggly only had to practice 12. So when it comes to practicing more maps, you can't get as good in a specific map. So, like, you gotta practice all of them because you don't know if like you're gonna win it, and if you do, then they're gonna have to choose a map, and if it's one you didn't practice, you're done.
How much was that motivation, extra motivation, I should say, to be able to be that team sitting and knowing that the other teams had to win 3 matches to get to where you would only have to win 1 match to get to when you beat that UNCJ team or UCNJ team? How did that motivate you at all in that one? Or again, was that another thing? It wasn't worried about the extra results. It was just the competition in front of you.
It motivated me a lot because I knew that if either UCNJ or the C2 would to make it to national champions, they would have had to practice a bunch of maps, and they couldn't really practice specific ones to get good at like the 12 for that game. So when I only had to practice 12, I knew that it was pretty much over, and I'm probably going to end up smashing whoever comes in, which ended up happening.
You had a lot of support come up for you Friday and Saturday. I know your dad was in town. AJ, coming up from high school, is going to be a member of the esports team next year. In the Mario Kart title, is going to be was up here to support you. How did that feel to start seeing kind of that? Was that another thing that helped kind of motivate you when you started seeing that crowd kind of gathering around?
Yeah, AJ definitely a huge motivator. I mean, he's the man that was there to practice with me every single time, and he put up more fight than the national champion. Or the national championship games, like this dude 4-0'd me before multiple times. He even went back from a 3-0 and he ended up 4-3'ing me. And I'm like, geez. And I'm like, this dude's pretty good. I mean, he's a little nervous to play, obviously. It's going to be his first time, but like, if he plays CS, I'm pretty sure he's just going to knock it out.
Just walk through that, make sure he dominates. When he gets here next year, now we're going to have the possibility of adding even another team to the Mario Kart side of things, as we're halfway to that 4v4 competition. But Coach, you also talked a little bit about the growth of Jesse when I talked to you afterwards about that one, and kind of how he's been able to just grind things. Where have you seen him grow the most? Is it the competition, or just kind of the way that he's been able to manage the schedule at the college level while still keeping his level up high?
I think just him managing all the things. He somehow manages working full-time, going to school full-time, racing full-time, and he's a national champion. Like, that just speaks to his like perseverance and integrity of self and everything else. I mean, if you can manage all that and get good grades and be a good human being and a student athlete and a national champion, like, I mean, I wish half the people I knew in life would have that same motivation. So yeah, I recruited Jesse to come here and win. He told me last week, he's like, you brought me here to win national championship. That's what I'm about to do. And I mean, he's a man of his word. So yeah, I'm proud of him.
What was it that sparked you to see? Obviously, you saw the talent. It's hard when you see, okay, this kid's winning state titles, this kid's winning national titles, this kid's got all sorts of awards behind him. But is that what was the big deciding factor in making sure that he wanted to, like, because you came into my office the day that you went down there to that state title and said, dude, I want this kid bad. Yeah. What was it that really piqued him differently than any other kid that you were bringing up?
Yeah, he approaches Mario Kart the same way that the Rainbow Six kids do, the Warzone kids do. It's a profession for him. It's his art, and that's what he's there to do. And then, I mean, I tell people now, even when in high school, like, he wins, but he is just so relaxed when he does it. I mean, for everybody watching, this is how Jesse races sometimes. It's just kick back, just relax as can be. He is both coaching everybody watching in the room. We've had Valorant matches getting ready to start, and that's a pretty active aggro game sometimes. And you can hear a pin drop in there when Jesse's racing. They all just stand there, and Jesse's coaching us. And he is relaxed and coaching us. Talking some good-natured trash at the same time against his opponents, as athletes do. But yeah, he's just an incredible athlete. So yeah.
Mentioned your dad was able to be there to watch and support you for that one. To see him walking around, he was almost more nervous than you during the actual national championship match. But to have him there, I know he's been a big supporter of you. How special was it to have him there to share a moment both on Friday and on Saturday of getting those wins?
Pretty nice to see my dad there after not seeing him like the whole season. I don't understand why he wouldn't go to those games, obviously. I mean, but to go to the nationals, I mean, a lot of parents don't like esports at the start, but once they get to know, understand what it is, and heck, even get your kids into college, they're starting to like it a lot better. I mean, my dad didn't like it till then.
Always kind of flips when there's suddenly, oh wait, there's money in this. Wait, we can get this with this. What's next for you? Same thing with Rainbow. You want to win that title next year. You want to go back to back and that side of things. But knowing that same kind of thing. The competition is going to get tighter, and now your name's out. Everybody knows Jesse's the guy to watch for.
Yeah.
How do you take that next step to make sure that they don't catch up to you?
No, the first thing I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to work on my DLC maps for sure. Obviously, the maps I don't like is probably the maps I'm not the greatest at, so I'm going to have to play them until I like them, unfortunately. It is how it is. 96 maps is going to get pretty difficult to practice on all 96 because all 96 eventually will be played in the season. I have a feeling there's going to be more competitors next season. I'm most worried about Jiggly, obviously. He's the only dude that's ever beaten me. And keeping my eye on Bones and also keeping my eye on Boo. Those two are pretty good as well. I'm not too worried about the current competitors because there's still a pretty huge gap and kind of be hard to fill that gap in about a month. So.
No, man, those Christmas No, I'm kidding. Your head's and shoulders above that.
And in the other region, I'm not too worried about a lot of players. I mean, I'm upset I didn't get to play Marshalltown. I would have wanted to know how good they are from my personal experience, but I played against the only two teams from that region, and the only one is UCNJ was the only one that gave me a run for my money, so I'm going to keep my eye out on that guy too, make sure, I know more shortcuts than he does and make sure I keep it that way too. That way I can smash it all and win another natty with no losses.
Well, when we talked about AJ coming up and your former teammate coming up, how excited are you to be able to have him back up here for your second season here and being able to have that extra comfort that comes up with you, an extra person to grind with you? Because that's the other thing is iron sharpens iron. It sounds like that dude's just right on the cusp of being right where you are and is one of the bigger sharpeners for you.
Yeah, I have a feeling that if AJ were to come here, he does get a lot more nervous than I do. I mean, all players get nervous. I don't get as nervous as much when it comes to playing. I know one of the main things with Mario Kart is the last thing you want to do is get nervous because that's when you start messing up all the shortcuts and everything. And that could be a game changer right there. So keeping your cool is definitely one of the most important things. But with AJ coming here, if he can keep his nerves under control, which I hope he can, he shouldn't have. I don't think he would have too much trouble with a lot of these players.
Looking forward to seeing Mario Kart being able to have 2 champions and continuing to move on. Jesse, congratulations again on the title. Looking forward to doing another one of these interviews next year. Coach,
sure.
8 titles in esports history now. You got 6 of them on your fingers, and looking forward to seeing what you can continue to do as far as bringing in these fantastic athletes and letting them shine. That's the big key, is letting these athletes shine. And I thank you for giving us the chance to expose them a little bit and show off the talents they got.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for supporting us. And we're getting more rings this season.
Jesse Wardle, national champion for Mario Kart 8 in the fall of 2024. Looking forward to 2025.